fellow FPL managers, and welcome to another video where we're looking back at game week 17 and looking forward towards game week 18. And it is a pretty important game week because Liverpool and West Ham are going to be blanking, and we have Chelsea at home to Spurs, and then the big second against third place, Man City at home to Leicester. And this, what a time for this to happen. Just when City are about to come back into form, Leicester maybe dropping a little bit, and Liverpool must be sitting back and loving this at the moment. So we'll be having a quick look at an idea that I've had, which will be an unpopular blank game week plan. But nevertheless, I'm going to put it out there and maybe someone's going to try it out. So we'll just have another quick look back at game week 17. So for me, 61, average is 56, so I'm just above the average, but I'm still now 1.7 million. I've gone up a little bit. It hurt me. Just having Kevin De Bruyne with a monster haul. I had a minus 27 point issue this week, so I brought Son in for Kevin De Bruyne, and of course Kevin De Bruyne had an amazing haul with 2 goals and assists and bonus points. So that cost me a lot, and having Traore on my bench for 10 points, so it's a 27 point swing. It's just decisions like this season, that and captaincy picks, which have really hurt me this season, but it's fine. It just is what it is, and we just keep going, and there's plenty of time to still make it. I still believe I can aim for that sort of top 500k within the next sort of 10 game weeks or so, but we'll see how it goes. Lord Lundstrom again, as horrible as it sounds, I never have any sympathy for people that keep leaving him on the bench when we know he's such an attacking player, and we know, Sheffield United at home, they're against Aston Villa, against Wesley up front. I don't really know what else Lundstrom has to do to get into people's teams. TAA getting a clean sheet. Don't know how Watford didn't put one away. Really losing the plot up front. Just cannot finish. Sarr looks exciting, but he's swinging and he's missing to Corey, who's usually pretty sound. He can go on a run of goals, but even he's missing. Soyuncu, Pookie back with a goal, doing very well. Pope getting another clean sheet here, so he is still clawing on. We'll talk about the likes of Guaita later on in my players to pick, but he's doing fine. I'm going to keep him for another game week. He's going to Bournemouth. It's not the worst. Son and Ali blanking in the Wolves game, where you can see I've kept hold of Jimenez up front. Wolves I thought were excellent, and really unfortunate not to come away with anything there. Mane having a goal taken away with a VAR armpit offside again, like Sterling a few weeks ago. Zaha holding on, holding true, getting a goal, lovely goal as well. He is, he's finally paying off for those people who have brought him in for that good game run. Abraham, Chelsea, and all sorts of problems, lost 3 in the last 4, and it's a blank for Tammy. He is on the chopping block. A lot of people got rid of Jimenez. I always feel sorry for him for that because he's really consistent. And again, we'll talk about him in a little bit. But Tammy Abraham blanking there, Chelsea looking in a little bit of trouble. And Jamie Vardy having his goal record smashed because it goes down as a Tim Krul on goal. But we actually figured out that this helped my rank, because a Maddison assist and a Vardy goal would have hurt me more than a Vardy assist and Krul own goal. So actually, even though it cost me a couple of points, it actually gained me a little bit in the ranks. Willem sat on the bench, Rico sat on the bench, and there you can see Traore's hindsight. If I'd have played this game week again, I probably still wouldn't have started him, but there you have it. Game-wise, I'm not going to go through, I think, the game 17 games, because I don't want to make the video too long. I'll just summarize that the Saturday fixtures were not particularly interesting. You can see 1-0s, 1-1s. It wasn't great. Leicester couldn't break down Norwich, who look a little bit better at the back, but not 100%. Sunday games, West Ham there beating Southampton. Everton, big Duncan Ferguson hauling off Moise Keane was sort of the headline at that game, but Man United again failing to sort of string together any kind of consistency, and that's another reason why I'm not rushing towards the likes of Martial and Marcus Rashford, because they just can't seem to get those run of fixtures, those run of results that they should. I mean, once they get sort of 3 wins on the bounce, then you might believe in them, but I just feel there's too many inconsistencies there at Man United. I already said Wolves were really unlucky against Spurs. Man City, Kevin De Bruyne more attacking, but again, you know, that, for example, that hard volley he did, he's not going to score. I mean, I say he's not going to score that any week. He did another beauty against Newcastle as well, but Arsenal, again, also, I think it's no win in 9 games in all competitions. Really not looking good there at Arsenal. Side note, I would give Big Sam Allardyce a job. I know I'm a Bolton fan. I know I might be biased, but how many times does he go into a club, fix problems at the back, get them into a strong position, and then have the club sack him because they want more sexy football? That happens pretty often, but you know, if I were Arsenal, I'd be thinking bring him until the end of the season at least, just to sort of sort the heads out a little bit. Anyway, side note, Crystal Palace Brighton 1-1. I don't think many people were tuning into that Monday Night Football, unless you're a diehard football fan or an FPL fan. But it was Maupay with Brighton's goal, and I know it was Zaha. Yeah, Maupay and Zaha there with the goal for Crystal Palace, which is great. So having just a very quick glance at the last week's predictions, you can see it was not great. Leicester not getting a tick there. I mean, Vardy got something, so it's not a complete bust, but nothing from defence. Liverpool getting a win, clean sheets as well. Robbo dropped in his turn at rotation. Rashford, Abraham, nothing, and nothing from my differentials. It was not a particularly good week for me on the predictions, which is weird. It seems to do okay with the score and poor in the predictions, or vice versa. I'm waiting for that double whammy hit. So you can see the things I'm going to talk about behind me, and these are the players to pick and the differentials. But before we get into that, I'm just going to pop this back on and just quickly mention my team transfer. And it's one that I've mentioned before, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but I've mentioned on the stream about the idea that I mentioned in like Game Week 3, Game Week 4 was just going really cheap at the back. There's so many great options at the back there that, are we wasting money? Is TAA worth his money? Well, TAA has gone out for Kelly. So that gives me a back 5 of Kelly, Williams, Lundstrom, Rico, and Seunchu. And with the next couple of games, so TAA's got a blank, then he's got Leicester. And Liverpool don't have the easiest run of fixtures, so if they can't keep clean sheets in those easier games, I'm just looking at these thinking Leicester, Wolves, Sheffield United, Tottenham, Man United. I don't want to be spending that much money relying on that. So my future plans are going to be Abraham down to a cheap striker, maybe a Mousse or a Jordan Ayew. And he'll be subbing competition with Traore, or even cheaper. And then Zaha can go up to actually Mo Salah, or I could go Kevin De Bruyne and get, you know, improvements elsewhere. So I am thinking of just going cheap at the back, and that really gives me a good attacking force that I'm kind of wanting right now. I want to shake it up a little bit. I don't feel that in the next sort of 5 games or so, Liverpool have the best or easiest fixtures to get those clean sheets, and I'm sort of not tired of it, but I don't want to be relying on Trent's attacking returns. I understand that, but for someone who is 7.3 million now, relying on attacking returns, then I might as well just get a 7.3 million pound midfielder who's currently sort of getting more points rather than just a clean sheet. But let me know in the comments below if you think if that's the right decision or not. What would you do with this team? I'm not actually too disappointed with this. I think if you were to tune in a couple of weeks and you see Mane, Salah in my midfield, and I've still got Jimenez and Vardy up front with just a cheap defense, but cheap defenders with good fixtures, I don't think that's the worst in the world, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of people disagree with me. They disagree with me with the Reddit post. I should have just gone with my heart, but I didn't. So now we get to the point where we're looking at game week 18, and it is the blank plan. So as you can see now, I only have one Liverpool player in my side, so I've still got 2 subs, and Rico and Seunchu. I mean, Rico even is a good option to start. He's got Burnley at home, and he is sort of fighting with Kelly. But I just feel Burnley with Wood and Barnes are more dangerous to Bournemouth than the likes of Joe Linton is to the likes of Kelly. But that could change. So I've got 1 Liverpool player and 2 good bench people. So the reason why I'm talking about the bench is I did mention this on Twitter. So my probably unpopular possible plan for people, for two groups of people, is to play the free hit chip. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat, I still advise the best time to use your free hit chip is during a blank/double game week. That is always going to be the generic thing that people do. So if you want to use your triple captain on a single game week, I would suggest a free hit for that double or blank, because you might have 3 Liverpool players not playing now, but when those blank and double game weeks come, you might have 6 or 7 people who are not playing that game week. It all depends how well they do in the domestic cups. So 2 kinds of people who I would suggest to possibly play the free hit chip. Now, the first one is people with 3 Liverpool players and a really bad bench. So I mentioned earlier, you can see I've got 2 players on my bench. Both of them play. Ideally, I don't want Sionchu playing it away to Man City, but if I get a man down, Rico comes in, and I'm pretty happy with that. I've got the squad depths, and that's something that I've been preaching on this channel for the last, I think, 6 weeks. I've been telling people to prepare for this Liverpool blank and West Ham blank game week. So you've got a Liverpool triple up. You've got a really bad bench. Maybe you might not even be starting 10, but you might be down to 9 players because you've got, really cheap options, injured players, what have you. And you don't want to. You've got 3 Liverpool players, and you don't want to sell one to lose value. So if you had Salah, you could sell Salah and bring him back because his price is pretty much the same. But for example, if you've had Mane for most of the season when he was like 11.5, 11.7, I've had him since 11.9. Do I want him back? Do I want to spend like 0.2, 0.4, 0.5 million to bring someone back? Or TAA, you might have had him before. Just people don't want to lose value. They've got a poor bench. They're not going to be starting like 9 players. Then I suggest people with the free hit chip. The second one are for those gamblers out there who are rank chasing. So people have, or maybe you have, 2 to 3 Liverpool players, 2 to 3 Leicester players, 2 to 3 City players, 2 to 3 Chelsea players, even Spurs players. And they are all playing each other this game week. So you're perhaps not scared if you're a Spurs fan. So we'll just cancel that out because they're at home to Chelsea. You might fancy them. But Man City against Leicester. So Liverpool blanking. Chelsea's at poor form. They're at home to, they're away to currently informed Tottenham side. So you might not want those 2 or 3 Chelsea. So say you've got Abraham, you've got Mount, you've got Tomori, you've got Pulisic. You don't really want to play them. But you've already got Liverpool players that aren't playing, so you have to play them. And then you've got Man City at home. You might fancy them. You might not. You've probably got Kevin De Bruyne. You probably want to play him. That's fine. But then you've got Leicester. You've got Maddison. You've got Sionchu. You've got Vardy. Maybe you've got Tielemans. Or for some reason you've got like Perez. And you don't really want to play them. So rank chasing, we all sort of agree that this game week is not going to be a high average. Because so many people are going to be playing... maybe with 9 or 10 men. So many people are going to have 2 or 3 Liverpool players and they're just going to bench them. So they're going to be forced to be playing the likes of Sionchu and Rico and Kelly and maybe some lower forwards like, Connolly at Brighton. So this is a good game week to take a free hit and basically get, maybe 2 or 3 Villa players for a game week because we're at home to Southampton, 2 or 3 Wolves players because they are away to Norwich, and target those fixtures and just play extremely ultra attacking and aggressive. So again, I am going to say the best thing to do with the free hit chip is to wait for those blank and double game weeks. But if you're thinking, well, the average is going to be low, people are going to be having to play their terrible benches. The players from the other teams like Leicester and Chelsea and Man City that everyone has as well are all playing each other in difficult fixtures. I'm just going to swap my entire squad for one game week with a free hit chip and just target the likes of Aston Villa and Wolves and maybe a Newcastle or Palace defense because there might not be a lot of goals there, and just play it that way. So they're the plan. That's the plan for those Mavericks out there who want to try. I would be tempted to do it because, for example, last season Liverpool never had a blank or double game week, and we all had 2 or 3 Liverpool players then, and it wasn't a problem. But if Liverpool get far in the cup and City get far in the cup and Leicester get far in the cup, they're all going to have like a blank and double game weeks there. So that's just my suggestion as the blank job plan. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think about that suggestion. What are you guys actually going to do for this game week 18 situation as we take a look now towards the picks for this game week? So as you can see, the first one, avoid -4, -8, -12. I'm basically making the point that try not to avoid too many hits. I've already said it's destined to be a pretty weird low scoring game week unless we see some kind of like 3-3 Vardy hat trick, Kevin De Bruyne hat trick situation where it's absolutely mental. But everyone is pretty much struggling. Well, maybe a lot of people have got, like I said earlier, all these Liverpool and Leicester and City and Chelsea players. It's not easy, so I wouldn't be out there making loads of hits unless it's your future plan and you're bringing in players that you're going to keep for the next sort of 10 game weeks or even 5 game weeks. But I just wouldn't be taking any further hits because we're all going to be kind of struggling this game week, and I would just avoid to be thinking, oh, I'm going to transfer all my Liverpool players out, take a -8, bring in players, and then in a game week I'm going to bring all those Liverpool players back. I think just sort of throwing points away there a little bit. Moving on to pick of this game week, 10 million Heung-min Son, 21.7% ownership. Probably also my captaincy pick of the week. I imagine he's going to be the most popular captain this game week. Spurs can't stop scoring. 14 goals coming in the last 5 games. They face a poor Chelsea side who have lost 3 in the last 4 game weeks. And they look pretty poor. They've been pretty poor at the back for most of the season as it is. Although not top of the stat charts, Heung-min Son I'm talking about, it's clear via the eye test that Son is absolutely key in the attack for Spurs. And he's got 2 goals and 4 assists in the last 5 games as well. So he's going to be my pick of the week. Second up, someone who I've stuck by. I always feel sorry for him, but I'm glad because his ownership keeps going down. It's Raul Jimenez, 7.5 million, 17.5% ownership. So in the last 10 game weeks, Jimenez has blanked only twice, yet his price has recently dropped. Granted, he's not scoring a lot of goals, but he's still returning for 7.5 million. I think, personally, my own investment, I think he's sort of paid off for that. Jimenez has had the most penalty area touches of any player in the last 4 game weeks, and he faces a Norwich side who, despite looking better in recent weeks, especially at the back, they're still far from safe there. Quite low ownership was at 17.5%. Rival players either blanking or having difficult fixtures, plus a good bit of form for Jimenez makes him not only a great option for your side, but I actually think he's a captainable one as well. So if you want an outsider captaincy pick, then it would be Raul Jimenez for me. Next up, we're looking at Richarlison, 7.8 million, 7.7% ownership. Now, the Brazilian is surprisingly and quietly in a good bit of form. So 10 points, 2 points, 8 points, 6 points, 6 points, 1 point in the last 6 game weeks. He's facing that woeful Arsenal defence. So it makes Richarlison an interesting option. Everton also have a decent set of fixtures coming up until about game week 26, with the exception of a City away game in game week 21. So he's got Burnley next at home, and Burnley don't travel very well, and then followed by Newcastle away. So he's not only a good pick for this game week, which is difficult for people to maneuver, but also for the next 3 to 8-ish game weeks. 3 goals in the last 4 game weeks. He's in a more attacking position under Big Duncan Ferguson. He looks like he's playing in a 2 up top situation. Plus, he's a differential ownership, 7.7% ownerships. Could turn a few heads because he could actually be in the differential section, just where we're moving to right now. So my differential of the week is going to be Jota. 6.1 million, 3.3% ownership. A player that I had earlier on in the season. I think I started the season. Yeah, I started the season with him. High hopes at the start of the season. A lot of Wolves fans actually pinned him down as the one to watch. They said he was rivaling Raul Jimenez. At the end of last season, he was arguably better than Raul Jimenez. He was doing well in Europe at the start of the season, but absolutely nothing in the Premier League. However, in the last 4 game weeks, he's 4th for penalty area touches. In the last 2 game weeks, he's 3rd. So he's building up a little bit of consistency now. If you've been watching any of the Wolves games like I have, you can see that he is getting more into it. When I watched him a couple weeks ago, He was still wasting a few chances. He didn't look quite on it, but he was having a lot of chances. And the quality of that is improving. So similar to Jimenez as well, he's going to be facing that Norwich defence. So he could be a good differential option. Next up, we're sticking here with Jack Grealish. So Villa's main man was a villain last week for many after hitting the crossbar off that penalty. But he could be set to bounce back at home to the Saints. So Villa have a lovely run of fixtures. They're at home to Southampton, and then at home to Norwich, and then they travel to Watford. So whilst not looking good, Grealish I'm talking about in terms of stats, but his price, fixtures, and his importance, he's the talisman, isn't he, of Aston Villa, make him a pretty good option as your probably your fourth or arguably your third midfielder if you want to sort of jump off Zaha. If you're sort of fed up of the likes of Mount or Pulisic, then maybe drop down to Grealish might be a good option for you there. And last but certainly not least, the beast between the sticks, it is Guaita, 5.1 million, just 2.6% ownership for the goalkeeper that has scored 8, 10, 8 in the last 4 game weeks. And aside from a sticky 22 and 23 game week fixtures against Arsenal and then City, Palace looked great until game week 31. So they face an often toothless side in Newcastle. So stick Guaita in goal and leave him there for the next 15 game weeks or so, which will probably be around the time you are thinking of playing your second wildcard, maybe even earlier. And he's a bonus points vacuum. I mean, he walked away with the bonus points yesterday. He got 8 points and he still conceded a goal. Like, this is unheard of for a goalkeeper. So unless Palace suddenly lose their defensive minds, I would just be bringing him in if you've not got any other fires to put out, and just leaving him there until probably your second wild card. So that's going to be it for this game week, guys. Please let me know in the comments below what you're thinking, feeling, and what are you doing for your game week 18. Do you have any Liverpool players? Are you worried about the other difficult, tough fixtures? How are you going to navigate this tricky game week in terms of difficult fixtures for those who play in, and for the Liverpool and West Ham blanks? You're going to play that free hit? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one.